Welcome to Vermonters in Business, where we highlight some of the very best business leaders in our state and the amazing things they're doing in their communities. People of Vermont, welcome to Vermonters in Business, where our mission is to highlight the businesses and business leaders in our state that are doing amazing work in both of their communities and their careers. We've got a great show today, but first, please join me in welcoming my co-host. He is a serial entrepreneur, a local business enthusiast, and around here we know him as a world-class insurance agent. Travis, how are we doing today?
Doing great. Loving it.
Yeah, what do we got for hot takes today?
We're going to talk about beer for a minute here. My hot take beer, those that know me know I'm a huge IPA fan. But I don't know what this trend is with breweries making like 20 IPAs. It's like, just make 2 or 3, make them really well. But I see some of these places where it's like, you got rows and rows of an IPA. Like, how different can each IPA be? So as an IPA guy, I'm just like, make a couple. You think of the OGs in Vermont. You think of like the Fiddlehead. Fiddlehead doesn't make 20 IPAs. They make 2 really good ones. Lawson's, same things. Make a couple good ones. So I'm just asking some of these breweries to downsize the amount of IPAs they make and just make a couple of really good ones. That's my hot take for the day.
Cool. Well, joining us today, Travis, is Lauren from Arrowhead Lodge. Lauren, how are we doing today?
We are doing well.
Awesome. So this is your first podcast you've ever done. All right, cool. We'll keep it casual.
I appreciate that.
So you're originally from Rochester, New York, but now you live in Milton. How did that all happen? How did it go about?
Yeah, well, there are a few places in between Rochester and Milton, but most previously, my husband and I lived in South Florida.
Okay.
We were ready to return to the Northeast. I had visited Burlington once.
Really?
And was like, Vermont was kind of cool. And so long story short, we were looking at places in and around Burlington and landed in Milton.
So he had never been to Burlington before?
No.
No? That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's a good sell.
Was he originally from someplace north, though?
Yeah, Connecticut.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So at least he was familiar with cold weather and all that fun stuff.
Yes, we missed the seasons and...
Yeah. Well, we're going to dive into a little bit about what you guys do and offer over at Arrowhead Lodge. But before we do that, we have every guest jump into something we call the Vermonter Hot Seat questions. Lauren, are you ready for the hot seat?
Yes.
Pancakes or waffles? What are you having with your Vermont maple syrup?
Oh, waffles.
All right.
First waffle of the day.
Yep, it's been a pancake. I think people have been panicking, though, and going for pancakes.
Yes.
Put a lot of pressure on the hot seat. A perfect day for you, is it a winter day at the mountain or a summer day at the lake?
Ooh, summer at the lake.
All right, nice. It is your birthday dinner. You can go to any restaurant in the state. Where are you headed?
Oh. Where am I headed? Probably Gallus.
Okay, where's that?
That is in Waterbury. It's the new Hen of the Wood fresh pasta.
Got it. Yeah. That's right. I haven't been to that one yet. Yeah. You've been?
You should go. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Cool. All right. We've got to add it to the list then. Hot summer day. What is your creamy order and from where?
Ooh, it is a maple coffee twist.
Okay.
From...
Super specific. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Girl know what she wants.
Yeah.
From, I have to think of the name of it, Palmer?
Palmer's out in Jericho.
Yeah.
Coming on the show tomorrow?
He'll be on the show tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. Tell him I said hi.
Maple coffee. I like it.
Awesome. Well, that's all we have for you today for the hot seat.
Right.
So you survived.
Cool.
That wasn't too challenging,
No.
Awesome. Well, let's dive into Arrowhead Lodge, Travis, and a little bit about what they do.
Yeah. So let's just start with, what is Arrowhead Lodge?
Yeah. So Arrowhead Lodge is a craft beer, wine, and cider establishment. We have light fare, and we host some unique events.
And how did it all start?
It all started when my husband and I moved to Milton. We were living in the apartments across the street from the future Arrowhead Lodge. And at the time, that building had been condemned. So the bricks were falling into the road. It's a historic building. Yep. And a couple from Nebraska had purchased it and began renovations. My husband has a history in construction as well. he's also quite outgoing. So we made our way across the street to see, like, hey, what's going on?
What do you guys got going on?
Yeah, we didn't know anyone here, and really they didn't either. That we had both kind of just landed across the street from one another. So we would bring beers over after work and sit on Home Depot buckets and talk. And,
that's awesome.
And after he got the renovations along, he found out that the bottom of the building, there's 3 levels. The bottom level was zoned commercially, which was a surprise. They thought it was all residential. And so he was like, what do you guys want to do? And we were like, what are you talking about? We had never owned a business. We had never. And he was like, yeah, it's commercial. Like, you should do something. And we're like, well, this town could really use a bar.
Right.
And that building has a history.
And the building does have a history of being a bar. And so at the time, my husband had started making hard cider in our apartment.
Okay.
And we were like, okay, maybe we'll do this cider thing. And so it kind of got rolling, and I was working for the Vermont Brewers Association at the time, so I was really familiar with a lot of the breweries and how many options there are, and just I had a passion for wanting to support them.
Sure.
And so that's kind of how it happened.
So this wasn't a dream. This wasn't like a dream you guys had. Like, you know what we want to do? It just kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I have worked in the restaurant industry for more than half of my life at this point. Like, it was feasible. You know, I was like, oh yeah, I mean, we could do that. Like, I could know how to do this.
Right.
But no, we weren't like looking for the space happened first.
Got it.
And it's quite unique. And so, yeah.
But everything's sort of aligned with your backgrounds and what you're doing. So
it did a little bit. Yeah, my husband designed the
Yeah.
entire thing. So we, he did all the construction for the downstairs part. Marty Steinhausen, who was the owner of the building, he brought the building back to life.
Yeah.
It was really quite in a shambles, if you will.
Right.
It was, and so they brought the upstairs space to be their home, and then the downstairs space we rented out from them.
Okay.
And the name obviously comes from
Lake Arrowhead. Yes. So we are right on Lake Arrowhead. My husband built a beautiful patio that if you can sit out and you can sit kind of at a bar outside and look out over and see the dam and the water. And the mountain, when it reflects into the water, it makes the shape of an arrowhead. And so that's why that is called that. And we went with Lodge because it felt like more of a place to just get together and relax. It's not all about being a bar and about drinking. We host, like I said, a lot of events that have nothing to do with drinking. It's more about being a place to gather people and get to know people. We didn't, like we said, we didn't know anybody.
Right.
And so we were like, how do you meet people? And like that was all we could think of. I was like,
And Lodge is appropriate because it has a campy feel to it.
It does.
I remember
does.
Shortly after you guys opened, my wife and I went there. We used to live in
cool.
Milton, and
Yay.
it did. It had, the wood. It just had that campy vibe.
It
so
does.
the name is.
It's very cozy.
Fitting.
It's very, and some people are like, "Can I stay upstairs?"
Right,
it gets a little confusing with the lodging part, and I'm like,
no.
And you did a wonderful job in the back with fencing it in
you.
and everything.
Yeah.
So you have a nice outdoor space.
Yes, we have an outdoor space. We host some live music out there in the summer times and different events. We'll be doing like a plant swap in May, just different community events.
And so from the time you were approached by the owner to say, hey, what do you guys want to do, to opening, like what was that time? How long did it take to get to we're turning the doors?
Let's see. I think it was a couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah. I worked with the Vermont Small Business Development Agency, VTS. I think those are the right letters. Yep. I worked closely with them to come up with a budget and a business plan and all of that to help we took out a small business loan. So worked closely with them to get that all started. And then we opened February of 2020.
That was going to be my next question. The timing of your opening was fantastic.
Yes. So all that business plan went right out the window because it was a completely different business. So that was great.
Well, we heard that from Two Heroes Brewing as well, who we've interviewed before, and they same situation, do all this stuff and boom.
And running a takeout food business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome.
Like, ready to go. Total opposite of what we thought we were doing, but.
And so obviously you open up in the midst of a challenge, but how, it seems like you're really focused on the community and doing things for the community. I'm assuming you have a lot of regulars, a lot of folks who...
Majority of the people who come in I know by first name.
Yeah. Very cool.
About 90%.
And as your business has grown, your offerings have grown, what you're, offering for different, do you have a rotating draft list?
Yeah. So draft-wise, we have 5 staples that we have pretty much all the time. Conehead, we have a Lodge Light, which is Zero Gravity's Green State Light, but they allow us to kind of rebrand it. And we have, we have Lodge Light, we have Burlington Beer Company's Lighthouse, Conehead, Piggy Brown from Prohibition Pig, and Built to Spill from Foam. So those are kind of our regular staples, and then I have 3 lines that I rotate pretty much weekly. We move through those.
And local wines and...
Yes. We have, we carry McQuam wines, so they're out of Milton as well. And then I do have like rotating special wines that are from, places other than Vermont as well.
But all the beer selection is Vermont.
Mainly. I will reach out a little bit to our neighbors in Maine sometimes, regionally local, but our set list is Vermont. Sometimes
Maine
for
beer
my
company every now and then.
Oh yeah.
Have a lunch.
I just saw their spring just popped up on my list, and I said yes, please. So they're neighbors. Feels local. But our main list is all Vermont.
Nice.
And then sometimes I get a little New England, New York treats. But
and so you talked a little bit about events. Is that something you're looking to expand on and do more? Like what type of events do you offer during the year?
We do live music. Recently we've added, let's see, I'm going to try to make this concise. Up until 2 years ago, my husband was doing some smoked meats, and so we had more like sandwich offerings. And then when I had my son, he stepped away to focus on his drafting career. And so he does that, and now I'm pretty much with the business, but the food menu shifted. So we have local pizzas from Vermont Pie and Pasta Company, and then a few other pretzel bites and egg rolls and things like that. But recently, I've come up with a plan to collaborate with other local restaurants to bring in some more exciting food options. So one of those that we've done a couple times now, and hope that they will continue to bless us with their food, is from Santiago's. We've been doing an event called The Taste of Santiago's, and we'll bring in a protein with rice and beans and serve it on a Friday night, and it's just been so fun. So
that's really cool.
It gets our patrons to know about Santiago's. Almost everyone has been like, God, I've been trying to get there. I just haven't, and so now they're like, ooh, I gotta go. So we have that. I'm bringing in a samosa. I think they're called the Samosa Man or something like that. He's coming in soon. Collaborating with other businesses. I love to do that. We have a perfume making class on Tuesday. It's called Bloom Lab. She's the local woman that shows you how to blend your own fragrances. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Just random.
Yeah. What goes into the event planning? Is it just you
it's
decide?
Me. Just calling people and being like, hey, what do you think about this?
Well, I think it makes sense. You see a lot of breweries do it because they have the space, they have the people. So it's why not have a craft event or whatever it might be, a fundraiser event or other things. So it makes sense having the space to do something.
We also just celebrated 3 years of our book club, which is one of my favorites.
Nice.
So that's fun.
And over the time, have you seen an evolution in what the clients want? I know a lot more people now are going to, some of the non-alcoholic stuff. I recently read that, drinking amongst younger people is down. And so there's really been a pivot. But have you seen your consumers changing their appetite or what they're looking for?
Absolutely. We shifted our non-alcoholic list when I got pregnant. I was like, this is terrible. We need a better menu. We need a better menu. So that was really and then have kept it up ever since.
Yeah.
So we have Zero Gravity NA beers, their
Yeah.
Rescue Club line,
Yeah.
the Pilsner and IPA. What else? The Upstate Elevator has a THC seltzer that
Yep.
has been
Okay.
very popular. We started that this past dry January and just kept it on because
Yeah.
people continue to really love
Wow.
it.
Yeah, that was going to be
I-
one of my questions because I see that expanding as well. I'm seeing more THC infused
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
and-
we're allowed to carry the 1 milligram
Okay.
option. And it's been nice, a lot of our patrons, they will come in and, we talked about this earlier, we're not much of a place that people are, hanging out all night, and people come in, they'll enjoy a beer or two, and then they'll say, oh, can I just have one of those seltzers? Because they want to stay longer.
Yeah.
Yep.
They want to
Yeah.
keep hanging out.
Right.
And so they'll have a seltzer at the end instead. Or we have the Savaray sodas. That's like another local craft soda seltzer brand. So she does these crazy concoctions of like, what was the one? Rosemary red currant or something. Just very fun flavors.
Very
Unique.
nice.
Grapefruit tarragon, I think
nice.
is another. Yeah, so she has a lot.
So after going through the pandemic and getting the business up, do you have future plans for growth, expansion, anything, or are you just kind of like where you guys want to be?
Yeah, we're my brain works like 3 years ahead at all times. Like,
Yeah, that's
I'm
good.
always
That's
like,
good.
That's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the way my
Nothing wrong
brain
with
is.
that.
So I love to just daydream about what else it could be. We've recently expanded in the sense of I'm not tied behind the bar every night. Up until then, I was pretty much there
Yeah.
every night.
Yep.
I've had an employee with me. Her name is Emma. She's been with me for 4 years.
Nice.
Okay.
So pretty much since the beginning. She
Yeah.
only missed out on that one, which...
Yep.
Yeah.
If you're gonna miss
no
one, that's
needs
the one
to
to
be
miss,
a part
yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
But she still did very much throughout COVID. I mean, our last thing was lifted July of 22 was
Right.
like it was
Right.
it was still years. So she was very much a part of that too. And so we recently hired 2 more people, which feels like a lot of growth because now I'm able to focus more on the events and
Yep.
finding fun beers and doing all of that. Yeah.
Is your husband making cider still, or is that like
He
stopped?
has been contracting with Groenfell Meadery
Okay,
in St.
yeah.
Albans.
Yeah.
So we have the Cloud Hop option, which is a dry, like hopped cider. We get the
Okay.
hops from Champlain Valley hops.
So that's something
local.
he's making with them, and you're selling it on
he
site.
has he has created the recipe, and then we use their equipment to make it happen, and so we sell it.
That's
at the bar.
cool.
And how was that process for him? Like as far as the trial and error and the starting.
Yeah. He's got that recipe down pretty well. He does, and it also depends on the apples too.
Yeah.
Like they taste it for the blend
Oh,
that
yeah.
we
Yeah,
can get
yeah.
our hands on at that time. So it's very much like a taste. We taste everything and then kind of see like, oh, this could use more of this, less of that. But
So it's good that you like cider then, because I'm
It's
sure you
good.
drank a lot. For,
Yeah.
I did a lot of taste testing.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's good. I like all the styles, so it's very fun for me to offer a well-rounded list.
Is that something he wants to expand and do more of, or are you just
at the moment
content
no.
with one?
Yeah, we're finding our balance with him doing his
Yep.
like job.
Right.
And having a 2-year-old
Yeah,
and a
that'll
bar.
keep you busy.
And,
Yeah.
so it's like, we're finding that balance.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
it's been fun.
And have you got, other than your patrons, how has been, having a business in Milton going? You get a lot of good local support.
Yes,
Helpful.
our patrons are incredible.
Yep.
We were open for 5 weeks before COVID hit,
Yep.
before we were shut down.
Right.
And so some people got a taste of what we were trying to do, and
Yeah.
they supported us through COVID. They would come. Some people came daily, some people came weekly, just to make sure that we got through that.
Nice.
And we didn't know anybody. It wasn't
Right.
like them trying to help their friends.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They were genuinely like, we want this here so
Right.
badly. Please don't leave.
Yeah.
Please. There's so much. I think there's like 12,000 people in Milton.
Yeah. We've always
and-
said it's been desperate for something like this.
Yeah.
For the longest time.
Yes.
Milton's just always been, we lived in Milton for 10 years, and Milton has always been a pass-through town, and it's one of those things that you need a reason. What's the reason I'm going to Milton?
Why, yes.
And
and
so-
also, on the other side, you're there and you're like, oh, I'd love to go out and grab a beer. Like, Vermont has such great beer. I want to go out and enjoy one. But it was a 25, 30-minute drive to go. And it was like, let's just go to the gas station and grab a 4-pack.
Right.
You know, but it was like, I knew people in Milton were enjoying craft beer because I saw them at our gas stations.
Right.
All the good, you know, so I was like, okay, there's a market for this here. Yeah. And I remember someone told me I was doing my drink order through one of the distributors, and he was like, oh, I'll come and we'll talk about, you know, your draft lines and this and that. I'm like, okay, cool. So we had a meeting, and he's like, all right, we're going to do Bud Light here, we're going to do this here and this here. I said, oh, no, actually I know exactly what I want. It's this. And he goes, here? Yeah. I said, yeah. He goes, you're making a terrible mistake. And I cried. But I said, with all due respect, sir, this is what I would like. And I hope you're wrong.
Exactly.
But again, like we talked about earlier,
I don't want to serve that. You know?
But you weren't a bar, as we discussed. You know, and you wanted that community place where people could come have a couple drinks, and they weren't going to go there and do Bud Lights.
Right.
You know?
And nothing against it. There's a time and a place for that, and that's cool. Like, you know, love that every once in a while. But, you know, for what I felt passionately about, it was supporting the local brewers. I've met many of them through working with the Vermont Brewers Association, and they're awesome people. So I just want to pour their beer.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the town of Milton, I know still have friends that live there. I mean, and hopefully things start changing and, you know, improving and getting more. I know there's a new restaurant opening up. And so hopefully, you know.
Yeah, a little bit.
One step at a time.
It just takes a couple businesses to have success, and you know, people start going.
So you've been at it for 5 years now. You just celebrated your 5th.
We did.
Yeah, that's awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
But when you look back and you think back to those early days, and you can't say COVID, but is there anything that you would change or do differently to maybe accelerate growth, or you know, maybe a hurdle or something that you ran into?
Well, we've kind of shifted. I hate the word pivot.
Yeah.
You might as well say COVID. We really had to shift many times, whether it be business, whether it be COVID, whether it be growing our family, whether it be growing our business. And, you know, the community has pretty much always supported what we've done. We may have lost a few people here and there that but we've just done what we've needed to do and what felt most genuine for the business. And you know, I don't think I don't have like a specific thing like, ooh, I would have done that different. We just kind of did what we had to do.
Nice.
Our employee and dear friend, she's always just described me as very scrappy. So we just do what we have to do and support who helps support us as well, you know. So we just kind of do.
Well, it's been a consistent theme, especially with today's interviews, with folks who didn't intend to necessarily do what they're now doing, but an opportunity arose where it was just like a business was closing and someone was like, oh, I'll do that. Or someone said, oh, you should do this. It wasn't necessarily on the forefront of their mind, but then just took, you know, because one of the questions I was going to ask you is, how did you decide on the location? Well, you didn't really decide. The location decided on you. And so that's kind of the thing where you never know when that opportunity is going to, you know, strike.
Well, and originally we were planning to produce the cider on site. And without getting into the nitty-gritty of licenses and permits and wastewater and all of that, that didn't happen. And as soon as we I said, what if it's just a tap room for now? We let the cider thing go. And after that, everything just rolled through. So sometimes you just have to like go with what's working, as long as it's not like killing your soul, you know, then, and you just go with like.
Don't get hung up on the things that are, exactly.
You know, you think you know what you want, and then it's like, well, this is like working really well. Like, let's take a look at this. How can we grow this little part, you know?
No, I was just going to say that I think that is a valuable skill of being willing to like take the risk and test something, but then to make a change, in relatively short time when you realize actually this piece of that maybe we didn't anticipate or that didn't work, and to just kind of keep that scrappiness, if you will, of trial and error and figuring out what's going to work in the community is kind of a superpower for business, right?
Yeah.
It's the people that get stuck in their own ways sometimes, where they could sort of wash out or fall out.
Yeah.
But,
No, I'm always
you can be too
tinkering.
stubborn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely can be, yes. I held on to a lot of things for a long time, and then I finally said, you know what, I gotta let this go.
Yep.
This is just not what this thing is, and that's okay, and just give the people what they want.
Yep.
Again, as long as it's not killing your soul. Like, that to me is important, that what we're doing is with integrity and with love.
Yep.
And, as soon as I'm starting to feel like yucky about something, it shifts.
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything we missed that you want to add, or anything you want to talk about?
Where can people find you?
Oh, we're right on Route 7 in Milton.
Yep.
The big red brick building by the dam.
Yep. Can't miss it. It's right
You can't
there.
miss
No.
it. You can't miss it.
Going into it on a snowy day.
Yeah. We're also, it's a separate business, but we do house a coffee shop in the morning.
Okay, cool.
So it's called Bee's Tiny Cafe, and that's Monday through Friday.
Nice.
And it's on site, right?
It is, yes.
So this is genius. I've been
Thank
saying this
you.
forever. Ask my wife. My wife will tell you. I always get upset. It's breweries especially. I'm like, you have a big brewery space that sits vacant for a large part of the day.
Yeah.
You have the infrastructure to sell coffee.
Right.
Do it.
Do it.
I'm like, why are you waiting to
Do
open
it.
until noon, 1, 2? I'm like, you have all this space. But
Yeah.
I think that's a genius idea.
Thank
They're
you.
probably doing this thing called brewing.
Well, no, but you can hire someone to go and put coffee out there. I don't know. I've just always thought that's a missed opportunity where it's like people are driving by your location in the morning. They're driving down Pine Street or whatever.
Yeah.
They're out at a coffee shop.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
True.
great. Kudos
Thank
to you.
Thank you. Yeah. Bee's Tiny Cafe. She's fabulous.
Nice.
Very good. All right.
That's
I
it.
think that's all we got. This
Cool.
has been another episode of Vermonters in Business. As always, if you know somebody that should be on our show, feel free to send them our way and we'll reach out and get in touch. Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.